we have sort of confirmed results of the local government elections before us, and the results are as follows. PNM has won 7 out of the 14 corporations. UNC has won 6 and 1 is tied. With regards the number of electoral districts, the PNM has won 83, the UNC has won 54. And I just want to make the point that in 5 regional corporations, the PNM has won all seats, and they are as follows. Arima Borough Corporation, 7 PNM, 0 UNC. Port of Spain City Corporation, 12 PNM, 0 UNC. Diego Martin Regional Corporation, 10 PNM, 0 UNC. Point Fortin Borough Corporation, 7 PNM, 0 UNC. And San Fernando Borough Corporation, 9 PNM, 0 UNC. Added to that, there are only 2 corporations where the PNM didn't get a seat. Those are Penal Debe, 9-0, and Cuva Tabaki Talparo, 13-0. And in any event, it was always 9-0 in Penal Debe, and it was 12-1, and we dropped that seat at the Cuva Tabaki Talparo Regional Corporation. In every single corporation, except Sandy Grande, where we lost 1 seat, the status quo has remained from the 2013 election. Meaning that the UNC has only gained 3 seats or 3 electoral districts in this entire election. Samoa East, Val St. Joseph, and Manzalina. The PNM gained 2 seats, which is Carapo, which is a new seat that was created in Tunapuna Piaco, and Laserford West, which is the additional seat that we won in San Fernando, which give us a net decrease of just 1 seat out of 137. So I don't know where this hullabaloo come and the UNC won any election. The UNC did not win the election. The PNM has resoundingly won the local government election. Added to which, in the 2013 election, we did extremely well. And when you analyze the figures, you will realize that we did well, not largely, but because to some extent of the split of the ILP votes. And today, with a 2-party fight, we have done equally well, and in some cases better. So I think we have gained more ground politically and numerically in the election results than the UNC has ever done in this election. The PNM moved from 84 to 83. As I said, we were 84, we now 83. The UNC was 52, they moved to 54 because they gained 3 seats, which is Samoa East, Valtin, St. Joseph, and Manzalina, and we gained Carapo and Laserford West. Ladies and gentlemen, bearing in mind that we had a difficulty with finances in the country, we were not able to do a lot. So all that taken into consideration, we are very, very happy with how the results have worked out. And what we want to also say, contrary to what I'm seeing some of the analysts saying on the television, is that this election had nothing to do with the local government candidates themselves. That is furthest from the truth. A lot of our incumbent councillors has performed extremely well, and most of them were re-elected. And as I unfold these results to you, it is very clear that the PNM has done extremely well, and we are very, very pleased with our performance. I now hand over to the political leaders.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We in the PNM, we are very, very pleased with the results. We entered this campaign at a particularly difficult time for Trinidad and Tobago. From the moment we got into government, we were governing in very straitened circumstances. And not surprisingly, there were some people who were disappointed that things were not as rosy as it should be, but the country is going through a difficult period of time. And to have gone into a local election promptly and to have held our positions as well as we have done, I am particularly pleased. As a matter of fact, I am so very pleased that a seat that we lost in La Romaine, we lost I think about 22 votes. Yeah. The same candidate who won tonight, he lost that seat in 2013 by I think it was about 22 votes. And we always felt that we had a very good chance of winning that seat. And tonight we won that seat by about 300 votes. And that resulted in us winning all the seats in San Fernando. We held all our seats in Diego Martin, in Arima, in Port of Spain, but interestingly enough, in Sangre Grande, the Sangre Grande Corporation, we did very well in Camuto Manzanilla, where seats that we normally would have lost by 1,000 votes, tonight we lost 2 of those seats by a couple hundred, one by 300 votes and one by 200 and odd. So we're very pleased with those gains that we made in Camuto Manzanilla. But interestingly enough, that is the area where we lost the seat, Manzanilla, and that is what brought Sangre Grande into a 4-4 situation. So the results have been very good for us. It could have been a whole lot worse if the predictions of some of the forecasters were borne out. But I think by and large, people in Trinidad and Tobago are understanding the difficulty that the government is having in running the country's affairs under the current circumstances, and that they are understanding the moves we are making in the country's interest. And even though the turnout was low, because local government polls tend to be low under all circumstances, because the majority of the electorate tend to view local government as a secondary kind of poll. And therefore, we are very happy with, for those who came out to vote, they chose the PNM resoundingly. We got, how many seats we got?
50.
We got
83.
We won 83 of the 137 seats, and the UNC won 54. So I will call that a handsome victory for which we are very grateful. One at a time, please. On the what? We can only, tonight, we are concerned about those who came out to vote. No, I think they were turned on. That's why they came out to vote. Those who came out to vote were turned on. Let me explain something here, because this conversation is one that I was watching the television analyst again tonight, and my mind went back to the night when Jack Warner won the by-election in Chaguanas and won every polling division. And there were no ends of analysts, very many of them with very little political record, were portraying all kinds of political developments in Trinidad and Tobago in that by-election, where we got, we won, we had about 8, very few votes we had in there, and Jack Warner won every polling division. And the analyses were dire for the PNM, to the extent where we were to face a new party taking over our base in the corridor and la. And on that night, I predicted that by the next election, Jack Warner will not be a candidate in Chaguanas West. And of course, so tonight, we campaigned very strongly on local government reform. And there are three ways in this time of a century where you can choose your country's leadership. One is through a process of elections, largely democratic elections, where you choose by going to vote for your leadership. Another one is by grabbing power by the barrel of a gun and become a dictator, or by trickery. And the third is by being a monarchy, where if you're born into the right family, you become a leader of the country. We in Trinidad and Tobago have the option of going to the polls. I have not heard of anybody being prevented from going to the polls. Wide open choices, and those who came to the polls supported the PNM's position. And we are quite happy. And it's our view that what we put to the population, those who came out to vote, those who chose to come out to vote, they chose the PNM's position. And we are quite happy to continue to govern the country in the best way that the country can be governed. And the program of local government reform will be accelerated. We've laid out a program. This election was part of the way along, and we are happy to be leading in this way.
Dr. Rowley, tell us now what happens with Sangre Grande. How is that going to be run?
The results are now 4-4. They are confirmed at 4-4. There's some question of drawing straws or something like that. I'm not too clear on that process. We had that problem already in Mayaro at one time, but the 2002, when the results were level, and the EBC worked it out. But it turns down to luck, because whoever is drawing straws, I would think. So whoever pulls the long or the shorter straw, whichever is determined, would get the chairmanship of the corporation. So it's the chairmanship of the corporation that will now fall into being. And of course, the election results would tell us who got the popular vote. My understanding is that even though we 4-4, that the PNM got the popular vote in Sangre Grande.
What was the turnout, Dr. Rowley? What was the percentage turnout?
I don't know it yet. Until the EBC established all the figures, we wouldn't know. But it wasn't as high as the last time.
But what implications were, you went out to the polling stations, everybody's saying it's low, low, low.
So
Does
what?
that not put a spoke in your
No, it does not.
sort of a mandate on national
No, it does not. We are only allowed to count those who come out to vote.
I'm not sure.
Oh, you're not sure? You in politics? Which party you lead in?
Yes, 20 years.
Let me tell you something. You can only determine who has won on the basis of who has voted. You could analyze why others didn't come out to vote, and that analysis has been going on forever and will go on forever. But as long as people were not denied access to the polling station, we can only determine the outcome by who came out to vote.
But then you failed to motivate people to come out and vote. I mean, the anti-crime by,
Well, it's not. We have done as much as we were able to in motivating people to come out to vote. I don't know the reason why they didn't come out to vote. Some may not have chosen to come out because the election is not important. Among a lot of our supporters, they will tell you that local government is not important. There are others who felt they didn't get something and therefore they're not going to get it by voting. There are all kinds of reasons. But low poll in local government has been a traditional thing. In the general election, we expect a much higher poll. And of course, even in general elections, sometimes you get low polls.
Right, but the indication is that we are hearing that this year compared to 2013, it is exceptionally low, even by local government.
And even so, I'm saying that does not in any way delegitimize the result. Does not.
Dr. Rowley, what does this now mean for local government reform?
It means that the reform continues as we held out during the campaign. The process continues towards the improvements that we think will come with the governance structure that we intend to carry. So we made some commitments in the campaign. We spent every night in our campaign talking about what we see as the new arrangements for local government. Contrary to those who felt it was an election ploy, it is not. It is a process in which Trinidad is engaged, and in Trinidad and Tobago we'll proceed. We now proceed to the legislation and to the parliament, and then we make the changes at the corporations as we go. We don't, in the legislation there probably would be need for that, but that's, again, I said we move on to the parliament. That will now be at the parliament. Okay. We had free and fair elections, and let me tell you my interpretation of that. You have an interpretation, right? That's an indictment. My interpretation is that they knew that the PNM would be in charge, and they're quite happy to put the PNM in charge of the affairs, right? If they were fearful, then they would have come out and voted against the PNM, right? That's how I interpret that.
Dr. Rowley, during the day there was last-minute changes to polling stations. Do you think this affected?
I don't think so at all. There were hundreds of polling stations, and if they had to make adjustments in two, and I understand one was an error on the part of a returning officer. So, what do you make out of that? And if out of hundreds of polling stations, there was an error by a returning officer, which the EBC, I understand, I have not seen the document, but I saw the news where the EBC said that there was an error by a returning officer. That in no way affected the outcome, right, as far as I'm concerned. We had free and fair elections. Persons who didn't come out either were quite happy to allow the status quo to remain. There are people all over the world, right, who would love to come out and vote to change the status quo. And we in the PNM, we are quite happy to receive a victory, and you can only determine a victory by determining who got more votes on election day.
Okay, there are many who are probably saying, thank God the election is what's next for the party? What is the plan?
For the party, in Tobago House of Assembly elections. And of course, as the party in government, we proceed in government to deliver on the commitments that we've made. I would not accept that the polling stations are always open in Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, what else can I say? In some countries, people are fined for not voting, There are a few countries where you get pay a penalty for not voting. We don't have that system here. People choose not to vote, or they choose to vote. If you're tallying up an election result, which we're doing tonight, I'm confining myself to who came out. I'm sure there's at least one person who will claim that those who didn't come out voted for me. I saw that on Facebook. So, we would have been much happier if 100% of the electors came out to vote, but it's never like that. Yeah?
Postmortem to talk to people to say, well, actually, was there to analyze why people may not have come out?
Well, we are not bogged down by why they didn't come out. We are bogged down by the fact that we now have work to do to deliver on the commitments we made on the campaign trail. I'll tell you one thing. We didn't make any commitments in secret. All our commitments as to what this government is going to do about local government was made in public, on live television, on the radio, on newspapers. And so therefore everybody in this country who cares to listen or to pay attention, they know what the government is going to do. And the fact that they have not intervened to stop the government from doing that, then we believe that we have a mandate to proceed.
Are you completely satisfied with the results, or you expected that?
No, I'm not. I wanted to win 137 seats.
Secondly, for those that have now come in as councillor next to the PNM ticket, what advice you have for those young politicians coming up?
Well, to understand the system that they're going to work in and try and keep their commitments and try and be of service. That's what it's all about. When you're a public figure in politics, you commit to serve people in certain ways and try and keep that commitment. Of course, the population may have a completely different expectation as to what you can do for them, as against what can really be done given the resources, given the restrictions of law in some cases, given the restrictions of balance, restrictions of fairness, restrictions of apportioning the resources. So it is not surprising that in a period of shortages like we are in now, that we would have some discontent, and we simply appeal to the population to understand our national circumstance and understand that we may not be able to do all the things that we would like to do, but what we would like them to do is pay attention. Now, whatever resources are available to the country, that those resources are made available in the best possible way so that we can do the best with what we have. And that's the most we can hold out.
Dr. Rowley, although it's a 7-7 situation, PNM is confident in declaring victory.
The numbers that we have coming in from the various polling stations and from our corporations, we think the numbers are solid, sound. We get them from the counts. So they'll be made official by the EBC. But we are satisfied with the outcome. I'm not aware of that. When the results are close, recounts are normal. I'm not aware of that at this point in time because I don't have all the figures. It all depends on what the particular candidate feels. Recounts are requested by the candidate in districts. I have not heard about a PNM candidate requesting a recount. But I've heard about a close loss. We lost Rio Claro South, I think by a very narrow margin of 33 votes. So again, if a recount is requested there, then we have that. But recounts are quite normal when the results are close. It doesn't mean that it will change, but you want to verify that it is as close as it is. But of course, for the PNM, that would not be anything new. We lost Scarborough seat by 1 vote already. And we actually won a seat by 1 vote. When you're around as long as the PNM has been, a lot of the analysis that you're hearing now is not fazing us because we are familiar with the ups and downs of these things.
What has happened is there's a formula for the calculation of the alderman.
I'd leave that to the EBC. Aldermen will be apportioned by the actual votes in this convoluted but relatively simple mathematical equation, and the EBC will tell each party how many aldermen we are allowed. That might by tomorrow, so we'll know that. But by and large, the elections have come and gone now, on time, and I hope within budget, and we now move on based on the outcome of the results of tonight. So thank you very much for following us throughout the campaign, and we ask you to follow us as we proceed to carry out our commitments and to continue to manage the country's affairs. Thank you.
Thank you.